Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about some of the things I wish I knew before I started carnivore. I am semi-retired Bob. I talk about the carnivore diet, all things related to the carnivore diet, and miscellaneous odds and ends. As I said, today we're going to go over some of the things I wish I'd known before I started the carnivore diet. Some of them are serious, some of them not so much. But I thought this was a good thing to talk about today. This is the January No Excuses Walking Challenge. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for stopping by. If you're wondering what's going on, well, you're watching me walk. Sometimes I come up with interesting things to talk about. Sometimes not so much. But I do try to say some things while I'm walking anyway, just to show you that I can talk while I'm walking. 20 months ago, I couldn't do this. I could barely stand for 2 to 2.5 minutes without severe pain. Now I'm out here walking every day. So why don't you help me get the word out that it's never too late to change your life. I'm 60 years old, coming up on 61 really fast here. And the changes I've made have been amazing. So drop down in the comments, say hi, Bob. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, why don't you consider doing that? And click the little bell notifications too. All these things are absolutely free, and it helps me get the word out that it's never too late to change your life. If you're returning to the channel, welcome back. I'm glad you're here as well. Let's go ahead and jump on into this thing. The number one thing I wish I had known before I started the carnivore diet is to transition slowly. Over, as Professor K says, transition over 6 to 8 weeks. At a minimum, so as to not upset your microbiome, which is the bacteria that lives down in your colon. I didn't do that. I was standard American diet one day, carnivore the next. And I had, well, let's just say tremendous bathroom issues doing it that way. That were sudden and explosive. So I spent the first couple of weeks not being able to get more than a few steps from the bathroom. It's not a good way to go. You should definitely transition slowly. A lot of people, like me, get lucky and don't have any long-term problems. But if you listen to Professor K, there are some long-term problems that can happen. So, again, let's make sure we transition slowly to avoid those problems. The next thing I wish I knew is that, as Cassie and Larry over at Carnivore Quest call it, the wall of doom. When you're first starting, there's going to be a lot of traffic today. Oh well. At some point early in your carnivore journey, for most people, you're going to run into what they call the wall of doom, where nothing looks good. You cook up some burger patties or even a steak, and you look at it and it's just like, ugh, I just can't do any more of that. This is normal. what you need to do is just not eat. Go ahead and do a fast until that food you cooked looks good again. Sometimes this, only lasts for a day or so. I've heard people that, ended up doing a 3 to 4 day fast because they looked at stuff and it just didn't look good. That kind of, problem is normal. I myself didn't really run into it. I'm told it happens to a lot of people. So just be aware that it can happen. It's normal. Don't freak out. The big thing that people do is they'll look at the meat that they've cooked, or the meat they have in the fridge, or the eggs, or whatever, and they'll just go, ugh, I just don't want that. But then they'll start thinking about, I could really go for some Taco Bell right now, or Panera Bread. They've got great sandwiches. Or I could really use some Dunkin' Donuts. This is just your body pushing cravings at you in a very hard way. Because if you don't feel like eating the stuff that's going to satiate you, but you do feel like eating all the junk you're not supposed to eat, that can be a problem. So I advise, you keep the meat or the eggs or whatever it is right up front in your fridge. And this is the only time I recommend white knuckling. Don't give in to the cravings of all the crap that your body thinks it wants. Just keep waiting until your carnivore food looks good again. And once you've pushed through that one time, you shouldn't have to do it again. One of the other things I wish I'd known about is that you don't have to worry. And what I mean by that, what I'm talking about is all of the crap that the medical profession, your family, your friends, everybody's going to keep, when you first find out about this, they're going to start pushing at you. Or maybe you're like me, you watch a lot of YouTube videos, and you're going to see things that make you question what you're doing. Is this really going to give me scurvy? No. Is this really going to cause this deficiency or that deficiency? Or is my cholesterol going to go sky high? And I've discovered that you don't really need to worry about that stuff. When you're first starting out, of course, things are going to go out of balance and out of whack. But give it 90 days. Things will normally just level back out again. You don't need to worry about all that stuff. I specifically mentioned scurvy. And it turns out that we don't need nearly as much vitamin C as they recommend. Because as we now know from listening to Professor K, there is vitamin C in meat. Everybody says that. But as Professor K explains to us, vitamin C is taken up by the cells on the GLUT4 transporter, which is the same transporter that sucks up glucose into our cells. His analogy is two fat guys trying to get through a revolving door. The bigger of the fat guys, sugar, almost always pushes the smaller of the fat guys, vitamin C, out of the way. Well, it turns out if the smaller guy doesn't have to fight with the bigger guy to get through the revolving door, he gets in much easier. Consequently, we don't have to have nearly as much vitamin C as they think we do. And I challenge you to find me one true carnivore that has had scurvy documented. It's just not there. One of the other things that I wish I knew, and it sort of falls under the not worrying category, is counting. You don't have to count anything. You don't have to track anything. Having ketones in your blood is not the goal of this. You don't have to count your carbs if you're not eating any. Now, as I've said, the 1 to 5% problem of adjusting your fat to protein ratio is something you might have to play with way on down the line when you're at, the final 1 to 5% of your journey. Then you might have to play with it a little bit. But all you really have to do is eat the meat with its associated fat, add the salt, and drink the water. And that'll get you 90 to 95% of where you want to go. One of the other things that I wish I had known, I originally, like so many of us, started this off. This was going to be an elimination diet. I'm going to eat this way till I feel better, because we thought of it as a diet. I'm going to eat this way till I feel better, and then I'll just go back to eating whatever I want. Not knowing that I was going to have such amazing results, I have no desire to go back to eating the things. And that's the mental side of it, where we don't think about it very often, but a lot of the time, because, what do we do when we go on a diet? Well, this is going to really hurt. I'm going to be hungry. But after I lose the 15 or 20 or 30 pounds that I want, I will have accomplished what I set out to do, and then I can go back to doing what I was doing before. And I had those plans as well. I thought, well, if I get a little pain relief to where I can stand for 5 minutes a day, then I can order up a pizza. But I started to feel so good that I want to just keep going. And if we know this is going to happen to us, then we can sort of plan for that rather than having to change courses midstream about going back to what we were going to do before. And in with some of the other ones, just remember to keep it basic. I'm trying to get my note sheet put away here. Just keep it basic. Eat the meat and the fat, add the salt, and drink the water. We can get so caught up. Now I got to get this catch thing back over my fingers. I've got these mittens that have the flappy so that I can get my fingers out. And sometimes it's hard to get the flappy back on. But we can get so caught up in the weeds with all of the information that's out there. And I know it's getting a little louder traffic noise here because we are arriving at the place I showed you a couple of days ago from up on top of the hill by the nursing home. We are arriving at Center Street. Let me go ahead and flip the camera around here real quick. This is Center Street, and our next leg, I'm going to add some stuff at the house, up by the house, because our next shot will be to go down that hill and then all the way around the great big block. So there you have it, folks. I made it to Center Street. And I'll point out on the way back here where I stopped in yesterday's video. Well, actually will be in Thursday's video. No, Saturday's video, because this is Sunday's video I'm recording now. I'm getting a little bit ahead, but I'm intentionally trying to get ahead so that I still have videos coming out come summertime when I get back to the miniature golf course. And I also want to get my library a couple of weeks ahead by the time I make the move down to Texas, so you guys aren't left with no videos while I'm making the move and getting internet set up down there. But one of the other things that I wish I knew is that I don't have to go to the doctor as often. In fact, I haven't been, well, I went this spring when I got home to my cardiologist to get taken off that last med, my blood thinner. But I really miss some of the people that work in the doctor's offices. I miss my pharmacist gal. She's a really sweet old gal. And if I had known how successful this all was going to be, I would have said goodbye to them. You know, had a proper ending to our relationship, rather than just all of a sudden I'm not going to the doctor's offices anymore. I have one more big thing that I wish I had known before I started the Carnivore Diet, and we'll talk about that when we get back to the house. Yeah, just as the music is getting started here, up there by that sign is where I turned around in Saturday's video. Now cue the music. Okay, cut the music. Thank you. I flipped the camera back around just a little earlier than I'd planned on, because I'm not quite back to the driveway yet, but I thought of one thing I really need to talk to you guys about, especially if you're out here doing this walking journey in the cold with me. When it's hot out, we know we need water. It's very easy to ignore our thirst signals when we're cold. I have one here in my pocket that I took a couple drinks of. But don't forget, even on coldest days, you can still get dehydrated. Even though there's moisture in the air, you can still get dehydrated out on your walks. So make sure you're carrying a water bottle with you. You can add salty or not add salty, depending on what you think you need. But don't forget to stay hydrated while you're out here walking. And I don't know exactly how far that is. I'll put it in about right here for how far that is out to Center Street and back, because that's going to be our base of everything else we build on. But the final thing that I wish I knew before I started the Carnivore Diet, I need all new clothes. And clothes are expensive. Not only did I not expect to lose 150 pounds in the first year, but now that we're coming up on the 2-month mark, it's been 20 months now, we're coming up on the 2-year mark, I haven't lost a great deal more weight in the second year, but I've kept it off. I have not gained. And I've packed on muscle, which tells me I have actually lost more fat this year. I just am compensating for that with the muscle gains. But I wish I had known I was going to lose that much weight. I could have planned better for buying all new clothes. So if you want to help me with that, down in the description, there's a join button. For a few dollars a month, you can join the channel. Speaking of that, coming up sometime next week, we're going to have a members-only live stream. As soon as I get that scheduled, I'll let you know. But yeah, and if you want to help me buy some new clothes, you don't have to buy stuff I've recommended or put on my list. Just click one of my Amazon links, and then when you buy something, I get a little tiny percentage of that. It's very, very tiny. I think the most I've ever made in a month on Amazon is like $6. So it's a very tiny amount, but any little thing you can do helps the channel and helps me. That's what I've got for you today, folks. Hopefully some of what I said made sense. Don't forget, get out there, be 1% better. Today, tomorrow, every day. Have a great day, folks. I'll see you in the next one.